They say practice makes perfect. It can also save your life, and we'll tell you why this week on Motoring 99.
TSN's Motoring 99 is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oils, formulated for the vehicles you drive and the way you drive them. And Midas Car Care, the way it should be.
This week, a couple of things you may never have seen before. First, these falls, known as the Montmorency Falls. Up until the late 50s, these falls supplied all the hydroelectricity to Quebec City. The other thing is this vehicle. It is the brand new Infiniti i30. And later, we'll see how the company is hoping that this car will put some power into the Infiniti sales figures. But first, this car, like every other car today, is simply safer than ever before. But as we're about to see, the difference between life and death in an accident may not be an airbag. It may be someone whose job description is changing just as rapidly as the auto industry. Chances are when firefighters respond to an alarm these days, the trucks will be heading to an automobile accident. And more often than not, it's the firefighters who are usually first on the scene. Each year across the country, competitions are conducted to help firefighters hone their skills in freeing trapped passengers from their vehicles.
Car accidents are becoming a major part of our job in the fire service. When I first started 15 years ago, we didn't do very many of them, and we didn't really have a whole great inventory of tools to deal with car accidents. But as years have gone by and the fire department has evolved, we've become more and more involved in auto accidents, and they've become, I would hazard a guess, somewhere around 35% of our calls right now, auto accidents in some way, shape, or form. I prefer to call it a learning symposium in which firefighters from across southern Ontario, in this particular case, have come to hone their skills in the art of making people readily available to be removed from automobile accidents and wrecks by the first aid personnel when they arrive. In a lot of cases we are required to do first aid, but in most cases we rely on the ambulance to arrive before that happens, and they look after that. So our job is just to make the people readily accessible for the ambulance when they do arrive. Each team, when they come, is required to do two scenarios. One is hand tools, and the other scenario is open class. The open class includes the jaws of life, as they're aptly dubbed. Because they don't finish in 20 minutes does not necessarily mean they win or lose. It's how safely they conduct that scenario and how efficiently they do it. And once again, if they come here to take home the prizes and the medals, that's not what it's all about. It's to come and learn something. Hopefully they're going to witness 32 different scenarios today. And at the end, if they can take home 10 points of learning from those 32 scenarios, then we've succeeded in our goal.
Over at Rescue 4, the judges move to that area now.
You had trouble with the airbag. You changed, went to the jack. Good that you're thinking all the time of different ways of doing things. There was one thing that concerned me. It seemed at times you had two officers.
Is it tough to, do they take the critique okay? Is it tough to?
I'd say 95% of them take the critique okay. That's what they're here for, is to really learn, to hone any of their skills, and to again share all their knowledge with other teams and to gain knowledge from other teams.
We're from Gananoque. We're getting ready to go do our basic tool extrication competition, which we have a time of 20 minutes to do. I'm the captain. This is my team members.
You have no idea?
No, we have no idea what's out there. waiting for us. It could be just about anything. They've been tough today.
We're going to be just jacking up the back end of the car here with the airbags, Brian. Okay, the front end here.
You got it all secured, sir? What we're going to do is just lift the back off you here, okay? Ambulance is waiting by
Bring
for
the
you.
airbags around to here then, Brian.
Like I said, now they're getting the airbag for you,
The
sir.
back, front of the wheel.
Brian has it. Okay.
How's the victim doing there, Cecil?
Captain, victim still conscious. Going up on blue.
Are you ready, Cecil?
Ready, Captain.
Okay.
Ready, sir. Up on red. Okay.
Hold it. Crib on this side
Crib
again. Yes, Brian, you want to get along back and forth?
Yes, Captain.
Okay,
I think we can get him out there, Captain, now if we go two.
Come this way
Come this way.
with the backboard.
Okay, lift
Got
the
it,
back
Nick,
board,
Mike?
Brian.
Yep. Yes. Ready?
Ready.
1, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Victim clear for ambulance. Time.
Okay. Back away, please.
Well done, Gananoque.
Okay.
I get myself in trouble every time I say this, and I believe I said it earlier, Brad. Accidents are like snowflakes. They're all different. There's no two alike. Or like fingerprints, if you wish. So each time you go to one, you see something different. And it takes a lot of imagination sometimes to figure out just what you're going to do. And once again, I cannot overemphasize safety to the firefighter and the victim.
Thanks,
Captain.
You did a good job, too.
This guy's pretty functional in tin. I wonder how much he'd be worth if he was dipped in gold. That's coming up later on Kenzie's Corner.
Up next, a word from my bud, E.T. This week we go topless as we take a look at the all-new two-door Suzuki Vitara convertible, a vehicle that's built right here in Canada alongside the Chevrolet Tracker. Suspension-wise, the new Vitara benefits in the same way as its bigger brother, the Grand, namely a fully boxed reinforced ladder frame and a new 5-link rear suspension. This and the reworked rack and pinion steering make the convertible eminently pointable. In the pylon test, however, it was very much a tiptoe affair. While the amount of body lean is more perceived than real, it sure puts a damper on the charge. The tall stance and its inherent disadvantage is short-lived, however, when you go off-road. On the two-door Vitara, the distance between the front wheel and the back wheel, well, it's a full 11 inches shorter than the four-door version. As a result, there's no chance of getting high-centered, but it makes for a choppy ride on the black stuff. Select 4 low and the Vitara is nothing short of amazing in its ability to tackle tough terrain. The pitching motion that's evident on-road, and it really does feel as though you're riding a rocking horse, becomes a non-issue off-road as the suspension does a great job of keeping the wheels on the dirt. The other thing that impresses is the amount of available grip, and this is with regular radial tyres. When equipped with a large set of mudders, you get the sense the Vitara would be unstoppable. Getting into the topless mode is a simple matter of releasing the header catches and folding this section of the roof back and securing it. You then unzip the side windows and the backlight, something that's easier said than done. You then release the tension on the 2 support bars, remove the forward seal and then fold the whole lot into the back of the car. You know, folding the whole lot down is a lot easier than the old Sidekick was. However, putting this thing back together again, well, that's an entirely different kettle of fish. It is easier, but phew. Stopping power comes from a front disc rear drum design that uses a decent anti-lock system for control. The stops are straight, fade-free, and the pedal easily modulated. Whew. Decent enough stops, but there's still quite a lot of nosedive. The area the Sidekick lacked the most was motive power. With the Vitara, this concern is a thing of the past. The new 2-litre fuel-injected twin-cam delivers 127 horsepower and 124 pounds-feet of torque. These numbers and the Vitara's light weight equate to good throttle response. While a little slow in initial launch, once rolling the pickup is more than adequate even at the passing end of the spectrum. The automatic box, which comes with dual modes and an on-off switch for the overdrive, complements the engine's wheeling performance nicely. The ratios are wisely selected and the kickdown prompt, almost a little too eager in the power mode. What's more important, however, the box resists the urge to hunt under light throttle applications. All of that said, I'd still take the manual transmission in spite of the marginal rise in fuel consumption.
The interior of the Vitara has been well thought through. The power locks, windows and mirrors are conveniently located, a decent set of instrumentation, a great set of climate controls. You can flip into the power mode for the transmission and shift on the fly as simply as that. But you knew there had to be a fly in the ointment, and it comes in the form of the radio. Not only is it recessed back and out of the way, the buttons are tiny. It really does deserve a rethink. You know, Suzuki have done a pretty good job with the Vitara convertible. It's cute, fun, and it now has the power it's always cried out for. However, I would change a couple of things. The radio to start with, and the second thing, I'd base the two-door model on the four-door platform. That would get away from that minuscule wheelbase and some of the choppy ride. And even my buddy here, E.T., he agrees.
It's a 62 Ampere car, made in West Germany through 61 through 68, imported to North America 61 through 67. But the unique feature of this car is it is land approved and is also boat approved. When you go in the water, you can disengage your tires and engage your propellers and just head out in the water. About 7 miles an hour is about as fast as you're going to get out of one of these, and it rides very well. It's quite comfortable. You can, if it gets cold, you roll up the windows and put the heater on.
So are you a captain, a sailor?
No, I'm an admiral. Captains go down with the ship. I'm going to bail.
Time to update our long-term Honda Odyssey. As we mentioned earlier, the new Odyssey is leaps and bounds ahead of its predecessor in increased size and power. But we did discover a problem on our last update. We were getting an irritating whistling sound inside the cabin at about 100 kilometers. But we're happy to report we discovered the problem and it didn't cost a dime to fix it. Part of the rubber molding around the windshield had worked itself loose. We simply put it back in place and we were on the road again in quiet comfort. On an upcoming program, we'll check in with our long-term Saturn 3-door coupe.
Viewer Steve and Adrian from Prince George, BC requested a special Midas tip of the week. They want to know more about when to change the vital fluids in their vehicle. A good rule of thumb is to consult the owner's manual and look up the severe service category for maintenance schedule. In most cases, you'll find that one or more of your driving parameters fits the description of severe service driving. And if you maintain your vehicle on that schedule, you'll be changing all those fluids at the appropriate time. Another good thing to keep in mind, keep an eye on those fluids in terms of color, consistency, texture, and quality. If the fluids that are in your vehicle in service look appreciably different than the brand new fluids you might have on hand for topping up, that's cause for alarm, and you may want to think about tightening up or shortening up the interval on that specific fluid that looks out of sync with the new one. That's your Midas tip of the week.
It was with great fanfare when Nissan unveiled its second-generation Infiniti i30. This luxury division has been around for about 10 years and includes the entry-level G20, the QX4, and the flagship vehicle, the Q45. Although Nissan says that 1998 was a record sales year for Infiniti, there is still plenty of room for growth. Hope the i30 can lead the way.
Well, yeah, we want to double our sales, and we think we really can. This car is very good. We've got a lot of satisfied i30 owners. We've got satisfied G20 customers, and the i30 will appeal to those people without question. But it's also going to appeal to people who own competitive vehicles that are just looking to see, well, what else is available in this segment. Well, what we wanted to do was make the vehicle more luxurious, more comfortable, give it more performance, give it more luxury features, and those are the things that we've done. It's bigger, it's got a lot more power, it's got features in it that just aren't found in other vehicles in this segment, and we've made it just that much more of a luxury vehicle.
I think the chief competition would be 3 and 5 Series BMWs, Audi A4, A6, certainly Lexus ES300, probably the key areas of direct competition for us.
Feeling confident? Feeling lucky?
Absolutely, and we don't think it's luck. We think we've built the right car, and we think we can appeal to the viewing audience that you have with you today.
Well, I think the front end, the shape of the headlights, the sculpting around the front grille, the rather narrow look to the front end, but the wedge shape to the vehicle really makes it look like performance. It's luxury. It speaks to the people who are looking at it, has a status and a real presence on the road. That's my favorite part of the vehicle, actually, is the headlight and the grille area.
You've got big plans for sales, too.
Well, the luxury segments are really growing. People are getting more income. They're more interested in getting a really nice car, and they want the treatment that a luxury brand gives them, and that's really the philosophy of Infiniti. It's a total ownership experience. That's what we focus on, and there's just more customers that are willing to pay for it.
The new i30T comes with an optional power sun visor that helps protect your backseat passengers from the hot rays, especially if those passengers happen to be young children. What I can't figure out is, how do you have young children and still afford a luxury car? Beats me. Anyway, let's head to the garage and join Bill Gardner.
Yeah, luxury car and kids, that definitely seems at odds, Brad. Anyhow, you know, buying a vehicle of any sort is literally the tip of the iceberg. It's all those ongoing maintenance and repair expenses, upkeep, insurance, etc., that I find and a lot of motorists find to be the hardest part of vehicle ownership. And one big part of a vehicle's expense is putting fuel in it. And putting the wrong kind of fuel in it can maybe seem like an economy measure, but in some cases, as the vehicle gets older, that vehicle that was maybe designed and intended to run properly on 87 octane, or what we call regular unleaded gasoline, may require higher octane gas under certain operating conditions. And if you don't pay attention to the warning signs and use higher octane gas when you really do need it, you can get into some real trouble. I want to show you a perfect example of that this week. Now here's some not so old spark plugs out of one of our customers' vehicles recently, and if you look at the one at the bottom, it has a fairly normal look to the firing tip. But these three up here are all smashed to bits. The firing tip and electrode, the porcelain is all smashed, center electrode's just smashed over the side, and the ground electrode's all pulverized, to the point where the engine virtually wouldn't run any longer. And this was a result of unchecked detonation. Now during normal combustion, we're going to use this cylinder head over here, which happens to be off a different 4-cylinder engine, but this will do for our explanation. During normal combustion, the spark event takes place right here at the spark plug, and the combustion of the fuel air mixture in the cylinder takes place starting here and travels smoothly and evenly across the cylinder and pushes the piston down in the cylinder. Now, when we have irregular combustion such as detonation, we can have one or more areas in the combustion chamber where a little mini explosion takes place. And rather than a controlled burn, we've got an explosion, and sometimes one or more flame fronts that travel across the cylinder meet in the middle and collide, causing tremendous damage to the spark plug, can also damage the valves, and even knock a hole in the piston if it's left unchecked for long enough. The symptoms of irregular combustion are quite often audible. In many cases, a loud pinging or rattling noise under high speed or high load is a simple confirmation. And another way to confirm it is by lifting your foot out of the throttle. If the noise goes away when you reduce the load on the engine, you may have confirmed that you've got this irregular combustion going on in your engine. You don't want to let it go on unchecked. And in many cases, simply upping the octane level from 87 regular to 89 or 91 octane fuel can in many cases completely cure the problem. And you may be able to go back down on the fuel octane when your load, temperature, or speed circumstances are reduced. You may be able to go back down to 87 and have that engine run normally again. In any case, don't let it go unchecked for any length of time, because severe engine damage can result. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 99.
While you're out cruising cyberspace, why not pull into motoringtv.com? There you'll find an extensive link to everything automotive. Motoringtv.com is best viewed with autopilot by Romulan and can be downloaded right from our site.
to figure that if you're going to spend extra for a car, you should get something extra in return. More performance, better brakes, better handling, something. But it looks like increasingly people are spending 20 or 30% more for basically the same car with a different badge and trim. I mean, we've just finished driving the Infiniti i30, really nice car, but basically the same engine, same suspension, same brakes as the Maxima, and that's a pretty nice car too, but it's $6,000 less money. You've got the Acura TL, which is pretty much a Honda Accord dipped in gold. You've got the Lexus ES300, which is a Camry dipped in gold. It's not just the Japanese. I mean, what do you think a Mercury is? What do you think an Oldsmobile is? The Europeans, they don't seem to play that game quite so much, but I mean, a BMW is a BMW wherever you go. Well, Audi and Volkswagen are playing around a little bit with some of this component sharing stuff. It's not even just passenger cars. My old favorites, the sport utility vehicles. It's bad enough that 90% of the people that buy these things only drive them so their friends will think they have a horse farm out in the country somewhere. But now we've got upscale sport utilities. You dip a Pathfinder in gold, it becomes a QX4, or you dip an Expedition in chrome and it becomes a Lincoln Navigator. And you put another $30,000 into the car company's pockets. Who's got this kind of money? Well, according to Nissan, something like 40,000 people are going to buy neo-luxury cars this year. That's double the size of that market in just 4 years. Well, you know, I can't really blame the car companies. I mean, if Brad Diamond would pay me 20% more for wearing a gold chain around my neck, I'd be there. I'm Jim Kenzie.
Well, the troops are celebrating some of Quebec's history in English and in French down here in the Port Harbor of Quebec City. And you can bet that Nissan executives are hoping to have a little celebration of their own this coming fall as they anticipate and hope for a pent-up demand for their new i30. And incidentally, Graham Fletcher will be featuring the new Infiniti on an upcoming test drive, so make sure you join us for that as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
The chief engineer of the new C5. It's a true honor for us, and as I watch David in action here in our showroom today, it's like watching Wayne Gretzky sign autographs. Just the passion and the Corvette lovers to see him here, the man that has made this new C5 what it is just a great honor. We're excited and proud to have him here.
TSN's Motoring 99 has been brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oils, formulated for the vehicles you drive and the way you drive them. And Midas Car Care, the way it should be.